Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to a post about how ideas propagate. And I'm covering this topic through the lens of a recent Netflix television show called The OA, but I think it'll make sense to you even if you haven't seen the show. The OA is a term used in the screenwriting business as an abbreviation for original author. And in the popular Netflix show, the OA stands for the original angel. In the beginning, there was the word, connects these two definitions in my mind, and the existence of an OA, an original author, posits an absolute, much unlike Derrida's "if enough people believe it, it is real" concept. And it is the relationship of the original to the absolute that makes things real. When we dream, we are the original author, and that is why our dreams seem so real. That is a Christian undertone that I see in the story of the OA, the original author or the original angel. But there is also an undertone from a more ancient European religion involving the world tree and the rainbow bridge to the underworld. Every time Hap's prisoners died and came back, they traveled along this rainbow bridge, and sometimes when they came back, they landed on another branch of the tree. Watching the OA was very strange for me because of all of the thematic overlaps with a story I wrote 2 years ago, before the show came out. You have the Echo, a scientist enslaving young people, and the one who discovers a method of travel to different timelines. Instead of a house, my story centered around a machine. When I saw the OA, I felt as though I had evidence that ideas float on the wind. The plot of the OA is structurally distinct from that of my story, my novel, and there are only a handful of thematic parallels, so there is clearly no direct cross-influence, but I distinctly remember thinking about how odd the overlap was, and that the overlap signified some cultural movement which was about to emerge, related to the enslavement of young people by mad scientists, and the power of art to avert catastrophe and pain. One can usually identify if a work influenced another by the number of overlapping details. In a case where I suspect that a person plagiarized the plot of my novel by using a ghostwriter to accelerate his adaptation, there are 30 plot elements that occur in the same order in both stories, and his story is only 40,000 words long, a novelette. When many of the plot elements are very unique, that level of structural overlap just does not happen by chance, synchronicity. This experience has led me to question why an original author seems more special than a copycat. Each expression of an idea can have the same amount of power to influence, yet the moment that an idea emerges from our collective blind spot does seem sacred because of its relationship to the absolute and because of the effort taken to delve into the darkness and lay hands on those slippery, ephemeral things for which we don't yet have words. The person who wanders in the dark and sacrifices their energy to give birth to those ideas should benefit from what they produce. But in my experience, this rarely happens. Some copycat, like Hap, always comes along. The OA said, the television show, The OA, and the character, the original angel, said things that are hard to say, yet which many of us already believe, thereby expanding our ability to communicate. When our language grows, we grow, and that is why whenever a person uses unfamiliar words to say something that we already believe, their words are given significance and respect. The story in the OA is significant to me because of all of the times in my life that I might have died. The show is about dying and re-emerging on different timelines. I have, even though I'm a scientist and I'm extremely rational and skeptical, I admit I have sometimes wondered if my life forked at those instants, and placed me in a different world. It is, as a novelist, as a fiction writer, it is fun to imagine that I might carry information from one world to another through such a journey, because books that were written in one world might not have been written in another. That's a crazy thought, though. The sort of thought that creates fictional works like my novels and like the OA, the Netflix show. Craziness, novelists, fiction. I love how Minnesotans imply that someone is crazy by saying that they are touched, as in touched by God. It's a very kind way to say it, I think. And I wonder, are all original authors touched in some way? Are copycats equally touched, just in a different way? They're infected by the madness that drives them to steal bright and shiny ideas that they find. Missourians will say, "Bless your heart," if they think you are crazy. This suggests that to be touched by God is to be cursed, to wander in the shadows of what we think we know, with only the blessing of blind faith to numb the pain. This sounds true to me. Despite their differences, Hap, the copycat, and the OA, the original author, both share this journey through the shadows. I started my writing journey because I was painfully detaching myself from a scientific career that seemed somehow morally wrong. I've since developed a more balanced perspective about it, but like the dancers in the OA, I distracted myself from this pain with art. I wanted to find out if the fictional voices were cynically constructed, magically channeled, or produced through an organic process. And it is clearly a mixture of all of these things, but the mystery hasn't died out from me yet. That is a blessing. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. I hope you take a look at my novels. They were sort of a dreamlike process, and I would love to share that with you. Until next time.